All right, so hi guys. Gwen, say hi.
Hello.
So there's two of us here. Wave. Okay. So Gwen just asked a question. What was your question again? Exactly how you shared it, or try to express it.
When I cut the borders or the templates and then I put my pictures on the page, I feel like I wasted my time cutting out the borders because you can't see them.
Okay. And so I was looking at it, and some of my initial thoughts were, okay, well, some of the workarounds would be, we were talking about how a lot of us are kind of conditioned to slather our photos across our page. And so what we hope to accomplish in a sense, hopefully, right, is this cohesiveness between your design and your pictures. So I think one of the things that I would maybe approach a page is to think of your pictures as part of the design. That when you design things, to kind of design them up around your pictures versus they're separate, right? Mm-hmm. So just looking at this again, I was sharing with you, I always mention kind of strips because if all else fails, you could do a strip of photos, and that's like an easy go-to. But it also depends on your horizontal or vertical pictures. Mm-hmm. And that is shifting all the time, page by page.
Yeah, and I don't want to always do strips of photos always.
Right, exactly. So I've learned a lot of this two thing. And also I've addressed even tucking. So I would have looked at, and we're going to see if we can even pull this apart safely. And I don't want to not pull it. Okay, that's thin paper, so I don't want to play with that. These cardstocks are easier to lift up. You also, the moment we started to chat about it, because this is where I would have done. We can't bring it down, so what I'm trying to do is this bracket could have been just a little bit slimmer, and then these two could have been poked in there.
Under the
bracket. And that would have worked for these pictures because what's here is not too important to the story. Right? So it does matter on your picture. So for example, if you had something here, then a tucking scenario wouldn't work for that picture, which sometimes then I'll say, if that's the case and I feel like this is a good place for tucking pictures, sometimes then it will make me adjust what picture goes here. Well, which one can be tucked? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. These ones I think would have been just fine to tuck there. So let's say we did tuck that. Then you would have this cute little thing kind of coming up over around. And you instantly mentioned even this one. You're like, oh, I could have
cropped it more.
You could have cropped it more. And this is where the photo sets really come into play. And it's natural to use your photos, because for so long I did that,
4x6 all the time.
And especially when you're well, this one's 4x6, but this is where, let me go ahead and grab those really fast. Our photos, whoops, lovely paper trimmer once again. This is really another thing of the strengthening of the decision making is using these photo templates, because you say, oh, I could have. You don't have to guess. You can say, could I? Do you know what I mean? And you could layer that. And then before you bring your photos into the combination here, then you could have see with the borders how it looks. Now, I've talked about this before where sometimes it is nice to kind of piece your pages together, and that's okay. Sometimes I still find myself to this day piecing versus designing the full layout and then cutting in. But I will say that for probably 75% of my layouts that I do, I really do lay them out before I cut pictures or anything.
Okay.
So, I'm not pulling pictures in yet until I do this, because let's say this was the template, right? Not the paper. You would see how that would look, and then I will, let's take a template. Let's say a border out. Where? Any one of them will work. This allows you to play with top, bottom.
Okay.
So you can start to see, well, do I care that this is on the outside? So you could say, so now you have that look, right? But you're like, no, that bothers me. I don't want to do that. I want this to come out, but I want this one on top. Or I want them both to be tucked under.
Okay.
the design. So that could have been a thing here too. And yeah, definitely this would even possibly even can go down to, not saying that you would need to, but it allows you to see your options you have. I'm trying to find a 4x4. You could even gone all the way down to a 4x4
Yeah.
on that picture easily, and then that could just come down leveled straight across. And then coming over here, it's, you got like this really cute border that's going center of your page. I even think this is really fun what you did here. You polka dot, you did top bottom. That's really cute too. So again, it would have just been a matter of some tucks, some pushing upwards, downwards, things like that.
Okay.
We can try playing with taking it apart for a moment if you want, but hopefully that
That's fine.
explains.
You'll lift the, put that tool
We'll
on
try
there.
it. I just don't, it's gonna take like very slowly to do it. But we can come back. This is a really nice handy little tool here. Just to show us that sometimes we don't, we get excited and we tear things down. Which is really one of the powers.
Sometimes it sticks and sometimes it doesn't.
One of the powers of the designer templates, though, is that you can visualize it and map out those things before you. So, like that border we were showing, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Because the only thing is, it's the border's too high. Well, you could still do it if you wanted to. If you see how that border needs to be come down, it could work.
And I
But-
think the original design, the border was wider, and I didn't cut it like it was showing. I didn't realize it till after I done cut it.
And you could leave this now and this layout as it is, and just use it as a learning kind of experience. That's fine. That's totally fine. I'm glad you actually mentioned it though. Oh, see, we're gonna ruin it. I don't know.
That's fine.
I'll let you play with it. But those are just some thoughts on how you can approach, you know, utilizing like, yeah, because you're right. Why wouldn't you ask yourself, well, I just got that border, that was pointless. You know what I mean? And not to mention, not even that, those patterns are going to really help aesthetically give these memories the vibe you want. And we just covered that that cute paper as well, you know?
Yep.
So, yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Hopefully it helps.